So which one's true?
Sorry?
I want to know. I want to get into your thinking. So, for instance, it says decreases oxygen intake. So how does that work?
You're also breathing your own carbon dioxide. You're keeping your own waste breath right around your face. I didn't make this up.
This is an oft-repeated anti-masker talking point, that somehow these simple fabric masks we're all wearing are airtight enough to keep oxygen out and carbon dioxide in. Let's see where she goes with this line of thinking.
Like you don't think it blocks the virus, or
No,
it doesn't?
it doesn't. The particles are so small. Listen, no, hang on. Let me give you the analogy that's been used by scientists.
Definitely not from any scientists I know of.
It's like erecting a mesh fence to keep mosquitoes out.
Which scientists have been saying this?
Denis Rancourt did a study called Masks Don't Work. He works for the Ontario Civil Liberties Association.
Okay.
Just a quick note. Denis Rancourt is an ex-University of Ottawa physics professor who was dismissed from his position over a decade ago because of a number of academic and ethical issues. Since then, he has espoused controversial views not backed by scientific consensus, such as climate change skepticism, anti-vaccination beliefs, and, most recently, how masks and respirators are not effective at stopping the spread of COVID-19. He now works at the Ontario Civil Liberties Association, which sounds like an official organization, but it's not. It seems to be a fringe, right-wing advocacy group. They are trying to play off the legitimacy of the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, but in fact have no relation to them at all. The OCLA have defended the actions of Holocaust deniers and white supremacists in the past. Recently, they urged the WHO to retract their recommendation advising the use of face masks by the general public, and are at the forefront of the anti-lockdown and anti-mask movement. Lastly, the so-called study mentioned by this woman was never published in any reputable academic journal. It was self-published by Rancourt on the ResearchGate platform and subsequently removed given its, quote, questionable scientific basis, unquote, that it, quote, did not appear to have undergone quality control processes by the scientific community, unquote, and that it, quote, had the potential to cause harm, unquote. In the end, you have to ask if you want to hang your hat entirely on the misguided opinions of a discredited physics professor working at a shady civil liberties outfit, when there is plenty of evidence refuting his claims from legitimate sources and authorities.
They are nanoparticles.
Yes.
You can't stop them with a mask.
If they're nanoparticles, how big are the viruses compared to, say, an oxygen molecule?
Sorry?
How big is a virus particle compared to an oxygen molecule?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
And there's your problem.
Do you want to look up how big an oxygen molecule
I'm
is?
relying on the people who are providing science about the harms of carbon dioxide toxicity.
This is generally the problem with scientific literacy today. People know just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to recognize what they don't know. It's one facet of what is popularly known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. While carbon dioxide toxicity is real, it is not something that the vast majority of the public needs to worry about when wearing masks.
Yeah.
If you would like copies of this, I'd be happy to give you
No,
copies
I've
of this.
seen all those, because the thing is, an oxygen molecule and a carbon dioxide
You know what?
molecule...
You're wasting my time and I'm wasting yours because your mind is
now
not
you're
open.
saying... Well, no, my
your mind isn't open.
Is yours
You're
open?
not listening.
But I'm trying to tell you're the one who's interrupting me, aren't
Listen,
you?
my mind has been open for 30 years. I've been an activist for 30 years. I've learned about waste, pesticides, nukes, air pollution, cancer prevention, vaccines,
Oh, there it is.
etc., etc., etc. This is just my latest area that I'm concerned about.
Oh, so this is
So
just
my mind is
latest
definitely
conspiracies.
open. I've learned
Okay, so
tons.
let me tell you.
I do research.
Another effect of Dunning-Kruger. People think that they're doing research, but all they are really doing is gathering up any information that already agrees with them, whether or not it is in fact correct.
I will tell you about oxygen molecules and carbon dioxide molecules. Oh, so you're not interested? I thought you said you had an open mind.
I've been told the issue is carbon dioxide toxicity.
Interesting that she says, "I've been told." Sounds like someone was handed talking points and she happily accepted them, rather than casting a skeptical eye on the claims and doing even a cursory surface-level skim of the available research.
But it's not. So let me tell you. Okay, so let me give you a bit of logic.
I already knew logic and reason wasn't going to work.
So think about this. If you take a picture of a virus particle, are you listening or are you not having an open mind?
No, I'm not. I wanted to find
so
my
you're not
handout.
listening.
I want you to look up Denis Rancourt from the Ontario Civil Liberties
Yes, I've
Association
seen it.
on why masks don't work.
I've seen it.
Okay, you know what? It's a choice. You believe the mask works, you
Well,
wear the mask. I
it can be a
don't,
choice.
based on science, so I have a
Well,
choice.
see, that's the thing. You can
It's a free
choose not to
country, right?
believe, but it's not based on science. That's the thing.
It's not a free country anymore.
Did you catch that? It took her less than 4 seconds from saying, quote, "This is a free country," to, quote, "This is not a free country." While this particular example is just a throwaway phrase, it does aptly demonstrate the lack of rigor and internal consistency anti-maskers and their ilk frequently demonstrate.
And just wait 6 months till
Wait,
you see
so
what
you
else
say,
comes
so
down.
you said it's a free country, but yet it's not a free country. So which is it?
No, it's not a free country, especially anymore.
Ah, I see.
When they can tell us to wear masks and have children wear masks, it's not a free country.
Right, because a public health recommendation that people voluntarily wear masks only while indoors is the downfall of free and just society. These are fragile people.
That's my opinion.
What's your
You
name?
just wait. 6 months from now, let's talk.
Why? What happens
This
in
is
6
not
months?
the worst that's coming, trust me. It's gonna get a whole lot worse than this.
My guess is that they think things will only get worse 6 months from now, and the government will have to institute even tighter lockdown measures. The irony, which I'm sure is entirely lost on them, is that their own actions are what will have brought this about. As I've said before, if you don't want a nanny state, then stop acting like a baby.